Hi, Ruth.
Hello, HSN. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
All right, okay.
Could you start by telling us a little bit about where you're from and what brought you to Japan?
Okay, so as you can tell by this lovely background, I am from a small country in the southern part of Africa called Zimbabwe. My real name is actually Revai Ruth Mchechetere. I use Ruth because it's easy for Japanese people to pronounce. I am a Shona woman. It's one of the main tribes in Zimbabwe. And I speak fluent English because of the fact that we were colonized by Britain. It became the language that we speak. So ever since I was a young girl, I knew English, I knew Shona. However, I was also born in Matebeleland, which is the land of the Ndebele people. It's another tribe in my country. So for the first 8 years of my life, I lived there. So I had a mix of both. So I am Shona, but I also was raised in the Ndebele province. So I kind of consider myself both-ish, though I lost my Ndebele. But anyway, we are home to one of the seven wonders of the world, Victoria Falls. You should come and see it. It's very beautiful. And I came to Japan because it presented me with an opportunity to travel the world, see a different nation, a different country, culture, while it's making money and teaching English. So that was good.
Okay. What were some of your first impressions when you arrived in Japan? And tell us some of the difference between the two countries.
Oh, there are a lot of differences between Zimbabwe and Japan, obviously, but there are too many to list down. So I'm just going to list several that I saw. So initially, I was very exhausted when I landed in Japan. I had underestimated just how far Japan was because you're so excited. You're like, oh my goodness, I'm traveling. I was so exhausted. And the reality of me moving to another country hit me when I was in Dubai. When I left Zimbabwe to Dubai, everybody was black on the plane. The food catered to the black palate, and everything was fine. When I connected from Dubai to Osaka, there was no black person on the plane. The food was interesting. I didn't know what I was eating. And this couple that was sitting next to me, they were explaining, oh, it's nice. You can eat it. And I was like, I don't know. No one was black. I was the only one there. And I realized I'm about to begin to stand out in this country. But for the better part of it, most people were very kind to me when I was lost, which was all the time. The streets were clean. I was like, this is very clean. There wasn't a single piece of rubbish on the ground, and there were no trash cans inside. So everybody was walking with little plastics where they put their trash. I was like, this is interesting. Our Japanese people are very kind, they're very respectful, and you respect your environment. There's no graffiti on the walls and everything, which is really, really good. And there's a lot more that I can talk about, but for now, I think I just want to focus on that.
In Zimbabwe, you worked
Yes,
with women who were coming out of very difficult backgrounds.
yes.
What was that like?
Oh, it's something that's very dear to my heart because most of these women or people, they look like me, you know.
Mm.
The only difference why I'm not in their situation is just the grace of God. There's nothing special about me that they get to experience that, and I do not. So I took my work very seriously. So I worked for a pregnancy and crisis center. This is a place that caters to families that are affected or impacted by issues of unwanted pregnancy or unplanned pregnancies, HIV and AIDS, and difficulties brought on by poverty. Mainly, I worked with women, but it's not like we didn't want to work with men. But because men that are Zimbabwean or African men in general, sometimes they keep things to themselves and they don't want the help that we offered, especially if it's coming from another woman. It's just the way things are. So we would interact with these young girls as young as 12, you know,
Wow.
as young as 12, and most of them, they're coming from very poor backgrounds. So some of these young women, what ends up happening is they're forced into relationships that they don't want to be in. They are forced into marriages because they want to escape poverty, or, which was mostly the case, I would interact with young girls that have been raped and they had nowhere to tend to. They are engaging in prostitution, whether they want to or they don't, and they are being forced into these relationships because of peer pressure, you know. So they end up pregnant and they don't understand the implications of that, because now you're pregnant. And what was sad was that they're pregnant and they're HIV positive, sometimes at the age of 14, sometimes at the age of 16, and even their babies are now HIV positive. They have nowhere to turn to. One culture in my country was that unplanned pregnancy was very frowned upon. So if you get pregnant, the idea is you go where you got pregnant, you know, that's where they elope you there. So usually these young girls, if they get pregnant, the parents do not want them in their household anymore. So they chase them away. So what's the next logical step? You abort the baby, because you don't have anywhere to go. And then the man is saying, I don't want the baby, or it was through prostitution and you do not know who's the father. So they want to abort the baby. Abortion is illegal in Zimbabwe. So they were doing backdoor abortions where they were destroying themselves or killing themselves. So then this is where we would come in and we would approach the families, or we would approach the caretakers of these children and say, of these girls, and say, okay, we will take the responsibility of this girl and their child. We will provide care, we will provide visits, and we would offer counseling. But one of the conditions, some of the conditions that we had was that you would come and hear the word of God. You would have to come and do counseling sessions. I'm a counselor myself. I studied psychology. So you would do counseling sessions. You would have to sit in workshops that I will get into detail later. And you would learn about how to deal with grief, how to deal with disappointment, how to deal with failure. And I would even source other professionals that will come and teach them about entrepreneurship, teach them about health, how to take care of their babies and themselves, and how to navigate life with their newfound positive status where HIV and AIDS is concerned. So by the time we would release these girls, they would usually stay with us for 3 months or even more. Most of them, their lives would have been turned around, with one story where a girl became a nurse because she was actually my client. I counseled her and we worked with her. So most of these women were struggling. I do not want to lie. And you learn empathy. It's one thing to look at a person and say, I feel sorry for you, right? But then it's another thing to actually sit with a person and having to sit there and not judge them and not just throw the Bible at them, but listen to their story, understand where they're coming from, and then begin to walk with them the journey of healing and restoration in their lives. So I learned empathy, I learned understanding, and I think all those experiences helped me to become the person I am today and to even be able to navigate life in a different country. So yeah.
I see. Let us talk about something specific. How does what you saw in Zimbabwe in terms of isolation and mental health compare with what you see in Japan?
Okay, so I need to tread lightly with these topics because they're very sensitive, right? And issues of mental health, isolation, and suicide even are very sensitive topics in Japan and even across the world. So I am just going to provide a response based on my own experience, which, you know, does not, it's just my experience. Okay. So growing up in my country, things such as mental health and suicide were approached as a taboo. African people, we are very spiritual. So we believe that the creator is the one who made us. So taking your own life is taboo. So it was something that was very frowned upon. No matter what you're going through, you need to just deal with it. And also because Africans, and I mentioned Zimbabweans specifically, we've been through so much, we learned resilience. So you would soldier on in life and not even think suicide is an option. But that does not mean it wasn't happening. that doesn't mean that there are no cases of suicide in Zimbabwe. It's just that it was not something that was as advertised or something that I saw. And then when it came to issues of mental illness, maybe let's say schizophrenia or psychosis, because of our faith and also the traditional nature of some African communities, it was mainly believed that this person has been bewitched. I don't know if Japanese people are aware of this term, but then basically the practice of witchcraft is when somebody does something in the spiritual world to another person so that they lose their mind. So that's literally what people would believe if they see somebody who's schizophrenic or who's psychotic on the streets. Rarely would somebody say, oh, let's give them pills, let's give them medication, because again, it wasn't something that we knew, like back then. Obviously now with the rise of social media, a lot of this, health industry and all these advancements in the health sector, people are now aware of things like rehabilitation, medication, and psychology and psychiatry and all of that. Coming to Japan now, I was very surprised when, first of all, Japan is beautiful. It's very technologically advanced, something that you would see in the movies. So I thought, this is perfect. Everyone is happy. The water is running in the taps, there's electricity everywhere, you can afford basic lifestyle and living, things are good. But then it was very, very surprising to me when I heard that statistics of suicide are higher here. And it boggled my mind because I could not understand how people who seem to have everything, who seem to have access to a lot of resources that Africans can only dream of, by the way, are killing themselves, and in the most violent nature as well, throwing themselves in front of the train, shooting themselves in the head. That really confused me. So I then began to realize that even though Japanese people can be kind, are very respectful, and have access to everything, they could also be struggling with something on their inside.
Let's go to the next question.
Okay.
Where do you personally find peace and hope when things feel hard?
Yeah. Coming to Japan was fun, and then it was not.
Okay.
And then it was not when I was lonely and I would feel isolated. But I actually value that experience because it makes me be able to relate to Japanese people.
Okay.
Again, the divide is I look black, obviously. I speak a different language and I come from a different culture. So, of course, by those terms alone, I'm already isolated. I'm already in the minority. So, I didn't think that Japanese people would feel lonely in this country because they have each other. So, again, that perspective has changed. So, when you would go around in the streets and try to make friends, I quickly started noticing that maybe I was making Japanese people uncomfortable. What's wrong with me? Am I not friendly looking? What's happening here? But again, I started realizing the importance of community. My family is very important to me. I cannot go a day without talking to my older sisters or my brothers or my mother. I don't know what I would do without them. They check up on me, they call me, they link up with me. And friends that I've met. The interesting thing about being black in Japan is if you see another black person, they're immediately going to talk to you. They want to know where you're from, and you immediately become friends. So that's an experience that I've actually been cherishing, and I've actually been realizing I value that. And then months after landing in Japan, I found Hope Center. That was really great because I didn't think I was going to find a Christian church in Japan. But then Hope Center was amazing. The people are great. They accepted me. Though, they would look at my hair and be like, this girl, you look different. But they were very respectful about it, and they would ask me questions. And it was really good. So I would say my family, Hope Center, and then most importantly, my relationship with God. Now, I don't take that thing very lightly. Jesus is everything to me, like center, up, down, everything. He is my lifeline. So I would pray, I would study my Bible, and it's something that's normal to me. When people ask me, so Ruth, how many times do you pray a day? How many? I don't know. I pray, because it's my lifeline. When you come from a background where the hospitals are not reliable, the education is not reliable, the government is, we're going through difficult situations, you quickly realize you need to pray because you could literally die if you do not. So we value prayer because that's our lifeline. So for me, I would just recite the Bible and talk about God to myself. Thankful for social media. I can access Christian content. I can access services from my church back in my country. So that was very, very helpful. And also, to end, I am a person who is quite resilient. So few things faze me. So I'm very grateful because of, again, how I've been raised, where I come from, what we've been through, and just how, even being in Japan, I've also begin to value relationships and family and community. So that strengthens me.
Okay. Thank you for sharing such a powerful testimony with us today.
You're welcome.
May this testimony continue to inspire you to walk with faith, courage, and an open heart. Until next time, let's carry this light forward together.
Yay! I'm so glad I could do this with you. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.